Okay, so we got to call some information out of 10.3, number 36. So this thing says, let F be the number of men and G be the number of women in Canada in year T. So F of T, why did they do this? Silly naming. So F of T is the number of men in Canada in T is years, right?
Yeah.
G of T is the number of women in Canada in, again, year T. You guys cool with that? So bubble diagram wise, I have some kind of T place, right? Like a place where years live. And I have two functions. F goes one direction, G goes another. Right? This is going to be a number of men. This is going to be a number of women. You guys all good with that? Okay. H of T is the average income. Okay, so H of T is average income of Canadian women, again, in year T. Right? So I have yet another function that takes T places. You guys see that? Okay. Now I'm supposed to find a function P of T for part A. So I have to make up P of T. And P of T is supposed to give the number of people in Canada in year T.
F of T plus G of T, right?
Yeah, probably.
See, that's what I did, but it just seemed too simple.
I mean, yeah.
It just seemed too simple, but that's what I did.
Really, we should also add some kind of, and also people who don't identify with either of these groups, but I suspect that the government doesn't care how you feel. So, yeah, in California, now that we have this new option on birth certificates, you would have to add the third non-gender oriented option, but whatever. Cool? Then what? Then B is find the total amount of money earned by Canadian women in year T. So M of T is the amount of money earned by women. Okay, so how do you figure out the total income of all the women in Canada? Multiply what?
See, this is why I put that. I
G of T times H of T.
Okay, so you think we should take the number of women in Canada and multiply it by the average income? Yeah, I think that'll totally work.
That was it?
Yeah, that's it.
Is it talking about average per person, or is it talking average as a whole?
So this is going to be average income of Canadian women. I think they mean individual average. So that would be like what the average Canadian woman
Well,
brings
that's what I
home.
did, but I just reread it and was like, wait, you could do it the other way too, and it could be a problem.
Yeah, depending on the units here, I'm going to go with that they use the usual units here, which is dollars per person per year.
I did H of G of T.
Ah, that definitely is not a good idea. So why does H of G of T not make any sense? This is actually a good segue. Thank you for bringing up this excellent question.
Is that how many?
I'm gonna get a red marker for this one.
Is that like an income for, or you'd be how many women have this certain income?
No, there's no way to interpret this. It's weird. Because G, right, takes T's and turns them into what?
Number of people.
Yeah, G turns T, right? T is going to be some kind of year, right?
Oh.
So this object here, G of T, is going to be a number of women, right? And H's inputs is supposed to be times, T's, years, right? So the number of women in Canada is going to be like 50 million or something. right? And then I'm taking h of 50 million. Yeah, the units don't match, basically, right? To be able to do h of g, right, I should have to have this picture. G should take something, t's, to some place that I can then apply h to while making sense, right? But h doesn't even take the output of g as a unit. It should take years, not numbers of people.
So the
If I strictly did this, like if I actually just told the computer to do this, I'm going to get all sorts of weird crap because I'm going to have to be extrapolating h to like 50 million years in the future or something. Too many zeros. You should be a little careful. Sometimes these things will work. Like especially if you're doing computer programming, oftentimes you'll be able to write stuff like this and it'll totally make, like, it'll give outputs. It'll make stuff
That's
happen.
not correct.
But it doesn't know that the units on this thing don't match the units that should be input into h. So you do have to be careful of that sometimes. Cool? Good talk? All right.